From an unbelievable video showing the moment the Coast Guard intercepted a drug smuggling vessel in the Pacific Ocean, to footage of the United States Air Force conducting ejection seat tests for use in their fighter jets, here are 5 incredible military moments that were caught on camera. The Coast Guard is one of the 6 branches that make up the United States Armed Forces. It has the important mission of protecting ports, maritime borders, inland waters, and the sea from the thousands of attempts at illegal immigration, weapons smuggling, and human trafficking, among other things. On June 18, 2019, crew members on board the Coast Guard cutter Monroe captured the intense moment when they intercepted a self-propelled semi-submersible vessel in the Pacific Ocean, which they had suspected of smuggling drugs. After repeated failed attempts to get them to stop, the Coast Guard took matters into their own hands, literally jumping onto the vessel and opening the hatch themselves, all while floating in the middle of the ocean.
That's gonna be hard to get on. Alto Barco!
Later, reports came out that the Coast Guard's suspicions were correct. A staggering 17,000 pounds of cocaine were discovered on board, leading to the arrests of 5 people. In recent years, cartels have grown more creative in their smuggling efforts. Between May and July of 2019, a total of 14 of these vessels were intercepted. It seems as long as the money keeps flowing in, they will stop at nothing to develop more and more advanced methods and technologies to get their product across the border. Navy tests are vitally important to ensure that a vessel is capable of surviving the many accidents and situations that can arise while at sea. Back in July of 2016, the Navy conducted full ship shock trials of the littoral combat ship USS Jackson. The test was done by detonating a 10,000-pound explosive charge in the water not far from the ship and measuring how it withstood the blast. In this instance, the ship performed exceptionally well, passing all 3 tests that were done. Now let's fast forward to June 18, 2021. The Navy was once again ready to perform shock trials at sea, this time on the USS Gerald R. Ford. The setting was virtually the same. The only difference was this time they were using 40,000 pounds of explosives instead of 10,000. And once you see the video, the difference is immediately obvious. Much like the USS Jackson, the Gerald R. Ford performed exceptionally well, demonstrating its durability in the most extreme combat circumstances, and even returning to port under its own power. Now that we've seen a few military moments at sea, let's head over to land and see how the Air Force tests ejection seats using a high-speed rail. The technology behind ejection seats seems rather simple, yet it requires years and years of planning and testing to make sure it operates as intended. No pilot ever wants to have to use such technology, but in the worst-case scenario, they want to know it will work. And that's where these tests come into play. Located in New Mexico is the Holloman High-Speed Test Track. It's a railway system set up by the Department of Defense to conduct a wide variety of experiments. On May 23, 2018, the Air Force attached 2 fighter jet cockpits to the rail with test dummies in the seats. After a brief countdown, the test commenced, and about 10 seconds later, the ejection seats were activated. Another test done at the site occurred on May 20, 2019, but it was not for an ejection seat. On this day, the Air Force was testing a hypersonic sled, which footage shows traveling at Mach 8.6, or 6,599 miles per hour. To put this into even greater perspective, that is over 1 mile per second. The Holloman High-Speed Test Track provides scientists and engineers with a platform to perform a variety of experiments to obtain valid data on problems that could not be solved without testing. Thanks to advances in technology and human ingenuity, today these tests can be carried out using dummies, which was not always the case. Back in the day, real humans were used, and the forces they were subject to were so great an alternative was needed. Now, this track lives in infamy for the various experiments that have been conducted there. One of the most versatile means to increase the flight duration and autonomy of military aircraft is aerial refueling. This incredible operation, performed daily by the Air Force, allows military aircraft to stay in the air as long as needed. Yet, few are fortunate enough to have the privilege of witnessing the process for themselves, such as this one recorded at Hurlburt Field in Florida. On September 7, 2016, the aircrew of the 15th Space Operations Squadron conducted a refueling of the CV-22B Osprey, a military aircraft that is capable of vertical landings, short landings, and is designed to combine the functionality of a helicopter with the high-speed capabilities of a cruiser. This footage shows the extreme precision needed to handle a refueling mission. The history of aerial refueling dates back nearly a century, with the first documented successful attempt taking place in 1923. Since then, the technology has obviously grown by leaps and bounds. It is performed by various different types of aircraft, making it an invaluable tool on the battlefield, and quite the spectacle for us watching at home. The United States is rarely alone when conducting military exercises. It is common for them to work with their allies many times each year to run drills, training missions, and even simulated combat scenarios. On March 31, 2014, the U.S. Marines, working alongside South Korea, executed a massive amphibious landing at Dokseokri Beach in the city of Pohang. Aerial footage shot that day shows a huge fleet of vehicles departing ships and heading for the coastline. Before reaching the beach, smoke screens are activated in a coordinated effort to simulate shielding the vehicles from enemy fire, giving this scene an almost post-apocalyptic appearance. Exercises like these are done to demonstrate the amphibious and expeditionary capabilities of these vehicles, while also training troops and improving partnerships between allies. First developed during the 1920s and 30s, these machines are perhaps most known for their use in World War II. Since then, they have been updated and enhanced greatly, making them some of the most useful, dangerous, and feared vehicles in the world today. During the 1950s and 60s, the United States conducted hundreds of nuclear tests, the purpose of which varied greatly from one test to another. In the 1950s specifically, the Department of Defense was working on a new type of weapon that was versatile and easy to use on a battlefield. It was the M65 atomic cannon. What set this cannon apart from others already in use was its ability to fire a nuclear warhead. On May 25, 1953, at 8:30 a.m., the first atomic cannon was tested at a Nevada test site. The 280mm warhead traveled for a distance of 7 miles before exploding, resulting in the successful detonation of the first and only nuclear projectile to ever be fired from a cannon. Following this, 20 total cannons were built at a cost of roughly $800,000 each. They were then deployed to Europe and South Korea, where they were frequently moved to avoid detection by enemy forces. However, it wasn't long before these devices became obsolete due to limited range and the development of new atomic weapons. Now, only 7 units remain in the world, all of which are on display and not in use. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. And with that, thank you for watching and be sure to tune in next time.